All right, if you could please take your seats, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so good morning, everyone. My name is Sergeant First Class Helsham, and I will be providing your FY26 annual SHARP refresher training. I also have with me here today Sergeant First Class Aiken, who is our brigade sergeant. So she'll be answering any questions that I cannot answer. All right, so on the agenda, we will be covering 5 modules. We have prevention, bystander intervention, sexual harassment, sexual assault, and retaliation. So the purpose of SHARP annual training is to really just brush up on and to reinforce your basic knowledge, skills, and attitudes required across the total Army. That includes active, guard, and reserves. And first, we want to ensure that everyone understands what sexual harassment, sexual assault, and retaliation is under Army policy and law. And secondly, we want to make sure that everyone knows how to report, what options there are, and also what resources are available. And third, and most important, we want to reinforce prevention and intervention. All right, so before we get started with the video, if someone in the brigade experienced sexual assault or sexual harassment, what barriers might stop them from coming forward? Perception, yes.
Fear of retaliation.
Fear of retaliation, good one. All right, so play on the video.
Your country expects you.
Just put the mic up to it.
What are you trying to do?
Play it. Unmute on the right.
Where is?
It's on the screen.
I can't even see the freaking. I can't see the cursor. That's the problem.
Sorry, guys.
See what I mean?
From Afghanistan, and after being in the combat zone, grew very close. So we felt like one of our fellow brothers and sisters was being violated.
All this takes time away from the commander doing his job and the other people doing their jobs, so.
Your country expects you to fight its battles effectively, valiantly, and as a team. And no team is effective if its members can't trust their teammates. That is the impact sexual harassment and sexual assault have on the Army. They destroy unit morale, cohesion, and mission readiness. And while the Army has made progress in driving down sexual harassment and sexual assault, the fight is not over.
When something like sexual assault happens, it degrades readiness, degrades the family that is a unit. And when that happens, there's no trust.
We had just redeployed from Afghanistan, and after being in the combat zone, we grew very close. So we felt like one of our fellow brothers and sisters was being violated.
All this takes time away from the commander doing his job and the other people doing their jobs, so it's a very draining event.
Now I'm out to very, very trained and delicate skill set soldiers.
So when they don't have that level of trust and confidence in their teammates, it's going to degrade the effectiveness of the unit, degrade our readiness, and our ability to accomplish the mission.
When you create tension in the ranks, when you create some sort of fracture with an offense such as a sexual assault, sexual harassment, you are jeopardizing the most critical point of contact on the battlefield, and that's the small unit. And that's why this is a big deal to us.
Trust is the key to unit cohesion. Soldiers who trust their battle buddies and don't fear them go on to put fear where it belongs, in the hearts of our enemies.
slide, please. So as you can see on the image on the left, prevention is not just at one level, it's at multiple levels. Starting with an individual, so that's gonna be their personal beliefs and their personal choices, and whether they speak up or step in. And the next level is peers, family, and friends. So those are the people that we spend the most time with, and this group has a huge influence on our behaviors. So peer accountability is often where prevention happens first. And then above that, we have unit and organization. So that level includes leadership and what leaders tolerate or correct, which shapes our environment. And at the very top, we have the post and community. So that includes your installation policies and safety measures, and any community norms that either support dignity and respect or allow harmful behavior. So there are a few things that we can do to incorporate and reduce risk. So we really need to ensure that we're communicating clearly and we're respecting boundaries. We need to remember that consent is verbal and it is freely given, but it can also be revoked at any time. Silence does not equal consent. And if you see something, make sure you step up and intervene. And also, we owe it to one another to safeguard each other. And so next we have risk and protective factors, and these are things that either lower risk or increase risk in our unit. So under protective, when all of these are present, it is more likely that people will feel safe in speaking up and issues can be addressed at the lowest level. And for risk, these factors are things that increase the likelihood of misconduct. And so when those exist, people tend to stop, speaking out, and behaviors can escalate, and that's when risk increases. Next slide, please. So this illustration demonstrates how sexual harassment and sexual assault really degrade a unit's readiness. And we all know when it comes to unit readiness, we want to stay in the green. Red is never a good thing. So in the green, you'll see it's a professional work environment. People are upholding the Army values, those warrior ethos, and the civilian creed. And then when you creep into the yellow, you have those early warning signs. So that could look like excessive flirting, inappropriate jokes or comments, and inappropriate work relationships. So if those early warning signs are left unchecked, that could tend to lead to sexual harassment, and that could include sending unsolicited photos, non-consensual kissing or touching, retaliation, stalking, and again, if those sexual harassment signs or incidences are left unchecked, that could also lead to sexual assault, which could include rape, abusive sexual contact, and attempts to commit any of those acts. Well, that's fine. It's just important to note that units that do, see themselves in the yellow or red zone, they can reverse that and get back to the green if leaders and soldiers intervene when they recognize it. Next slide, please. All right, so when something inappropriate happens at work, what usually stops people from stepping in? Afraid of conflict? Afraid of conflict? Yes. All right, so now we're going to watch a video on bystander intervention.
I was not crazy about the new OCDs until I saw them on you.
Thank you. I think that I brought these unintentionally. That's Sergeant Rousseau.
Oh, how should I touch you?
Not at all.
The sergeant's behavior with Specialist Anderson is clearly sexual harassment. His actions are inappropriate, unwanted, and humiliating. Even worse, he's in a position of authority. She did the right thing by directly confronting him and making it clear she wanted the behavior to stop. But if she didn't feel comfortable doing that, what should you have done?
Well,
Say something. Let him know that you're uncomfortable with the way he's treating the specialist. There's no bystanders in the Army.
I wanted to, Sergeant Major, but I'm just an E4, and he outranks me, Sergeant Major.
It's not about rank, Specialist. It's about what's right. Sergeant Russo was betraying a trust between a member of your unit. He was endangering unit cohesion and mission readiness by his actions. Sexual harassment will not be tolerated in this Army. For instance, you can use distraction to nip the behavior in the bud.
Hey, I was not crazy about the new OCPs until I saw them on you.
Thank you, I think, but I'd rather it didn't touch me like that, Sergeant Russo.
Should I touch you?
Excuse me, Sergeant Payton. Specialist Anderson, I could really use your help with the monthly report.
Absolutely. Sergeant?
Sergeant.
Or you can take the direct approach and confront the offender yourself.
You know, I wasn't crazy about the new OCPs until I saw them on you.
Thank you, I think, but I'd rather it didn't touch me like that, Sergeant Russo.
Excuse me, Sergeant. I'm really uncomfortable with your behavior. You may not realize it, but what you're doing is sexual harassment.
Those are a couple of ways that you can stand up for your colleague. You can also bring the issue to your chain of command. Whatever you do, take action. Doing nothing can only escalate the problem over time. Just like this.
Good evening, Specialist.
Sergeant?
Do you have any Italian in you?
No.
Would you like some?
No. Maybe you should go home and sleep it off.
Well, how about you and I go home and we sleep it off together?
Hey, Anderson. We're grabbing a cab back to the barracks. Murphy here is splitting for it.
I am?
Yeah.
Okay, well, someone's gonna have to give me $20 because I'm broke. Don't worry about it. Thank you.
Just because you're off post doesn't mean you're not on duty. It doesn't make you any less of a unit, and the specialist is no less your battle. These soldiers intervened by working together to distract the sergeant before the situation escalated. And when alcohol is added to the mix, it often does. This is what they stopped from happening tonight.
You actually go anywhere, Specialist. You can just come.
Get away from me.
No, no.
What?
That could be the consequence of inaction. And with that sexual assault comes the destruction of trust, unit cohesion, and mission readiness. Bystander intervention is key to preventing sexual harassment or sexual assault. Whether you intervene directly or create a distraction, the goal is to separate the potential victim from the aggressor. You may also wish to report the incident to your chain of command. Intervene, take action, and motivate others to do the same. Because in this Army, there are no bystanders.
So Module 2 is bystander intervention. So bystander intervention is a 5-step process. So the first one is noticing the event, and the second is interpreting the event as a problem. So let's say you had 2 NCOs out, at a bar, and you notice that Sergeant Smith is being really flirty with Sergeant Jones, and you can tell that she's uncomfortable. So at that point, you're realizing that incident is a problem. So third is to accept personal responsibility to do something. So Sergeant Jones is my battle buddy, so I'm gonna go help her out. And so fourth is decide how to intervene using the 3 Ds. So as the video stated, it's direct, distract, and delegate. Can someone give me an example of how you could use direct when intervening in that situation? I'll have to call on one. What was that, Messar?
Tell them you're uncomfortable.
Tell them you're uncomfortable? Yep, that's a good one. Anyone else have another example for direct?
I mean, you could just say stop.
Yes, ma'am, you can just tell them to stop. And then we have distract, so that could look like, me going up to Sergeant Smith and saying, oh, hey, did you happen to catch, the Seahawks game on Saturday, just to kind of get, diffuse the situation. And then we have delegate. Can anyone give me an example of how you would use delegate in that situation? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you can find somebody else and tell them what you saw and ask them to go on your behalf and intervene if you're not able to.
Yes, if you're not comfortable in doing so, you can always go find someone else, maybe another leader or another friend who is comfortable enough to go and help that person out as well. And so the 5th step is to take action. So once you decided which of the 3 Ds, or maybe you want to use more than one, you're then going to go and implement those into action. So a little check on learning. What are the 5 steps of the bystander intervention process? Yes, Sergeant Major.
Notice the event.
Notice the event is the first one. Second step, yes, ma'am.
Interpret the event as a problem.
Good. You're using your reference card. Thank you, ma'am. And the third step? I know there are other cards out there. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes.
To do something.
Yes, sir. And what about the 4th and the 5th? Yes. And then the 5th step?
Take action.
Take action. Good job. And what are the 3 Ds?
Direct. Direct, distract.
Yep. Direct, distract, delegate. Thank you. All right, so our 3rd module is sexual harassment. I don't think anybody can read that small, so I'll just go ahead and read the definition. So sexual harassment is oh my gosh, I can read this. Who has a reference card? Okay. I don't have my glasses. Thank you. Unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, verbal comments, and physical contact of a sexual nature, where submission to or rejection of them can impact or interfere with someone's job, pay, or career. Guidelines apply 24/7 on and off installation. So there are 2 types of sexual harassment. The first one is quid pro quo. What's an example of quid pro quo? Yes, Sergeant Major.
If you do this for me, I will give you a promotion.
Exactly. If you do this for me, I'll give you a promotion. And then we have hostile environment. So that's when personnel are subject to offensive, unwanted, and unsolicited comments or behaviors of a sexual nature. So when it comes to sexual harassment, there are 3 different categories. There's verbal, nonverbal, and physical contact. So verbal could be anything from telling sexual jokes, using sexually explicit profanity, whistling in a sexual manner, describing certain attributes of someone's in a sexual manner, or using terms of endearment such as baby, sweetie pie, honey. And then nonverbal, that could be staring at someone or undressing someone with your eyes, blowing kisses, displaying inappropriate printed material. For example, if I had a Sports Illustrated calendar with bikini models in my office, that would be a form of nonverbal sexual harassment. Using sexual-oriented screensavers, sending sexually-oriented notes, letters, or emails. And then we have physical contact. So that's anything from touching, patting, pinching, blocking someone's passageway, those neck or back rubs in the office or anywhere else, and then also kissing. Next slide, please. Do you think people behave differently online versus face-to-face, and why?
Because there's anonymity online, so sometimes people think they could get away from doing it online.
Yes, sir. You have the ability to remain anonymous online. That's correct. All right, we'll go ahead and play the sexual harassment video.
What's up, Revere?
What's up? What's up with you putting my head onto a half-naked model and trying to pass it around the unit?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Bullshit, Kimball. I sent my picture to you, you tweaked it, and you passed it around. You sent it to you sent it to Davidson. Now you need to take it down.
Okay.
The Army calls it sexual harassment. I should report you. You try to humiliate me. So much for trust. If I see this picture up here anywhere after this, I will file a complaint.
Look, I'm sorry.
Sexual harassment through social media or any electronic communication is no more acceptable than it is in the analog world. How you conduct yourself in your online activities must meet the same high standards as all other aspects of your life, 24/7, on or off duty. When using social media, always apply TTP. Think about the message being communicated and who could possibly see it. Type a communication that is consistent with Army values. Post only those messages that demonstrate dignity and respect for yourself and others.
So for sexual harassment, there are now 3 options provided to victims. The first one is confidential reporting. So that's when a victim discloses something to a SARC or a VA, and that SARC or VA will then provide them with support services and resources only. There is no commander involvement with confidential reporting. That purely is, again, just for support and access to resources. And the next option is anonymous complaint. And so that's when a report is submitted. It could be through a hotline, a Dropbox. It could look like sliding a note under a door. And that one is referred to the subject's commander, and then the information will be reviewed. And if sufficient information exists, it could trigger an investigation. And if not enough sufficient information exists, an MFR will be generated and it will be kept with the brigades or the SARC. And then we have a formal complaint, and so that's when a victim will file a sworn complaint on a DA Form 7746. And just keep in mind, a formal complaint, that is the primary mechanism to receive resolution, official resolution, and it requires you to take specific, timely, and documented actions. Next slide, please. So when it comes to DA civilians and sexual assault or harassment, those complaints are handled by EEO. So they have two complaint options: a pre-complaint, so that's when the individual will contact EEO and exhibit intent to proceed with the complaint process. And then the formal complaint, that's when they will also reach out to EEO, and that does involve a formal investigation of that complaint. And DA civilians are subject to a very limited time constraint, and that is within 45 calendar days of becoming aware of the sexual harassment to initiate the complaint process. They also do have the right to sue, and they also are protected from retaliation. Next slide, please. So a little check on learning. True or false, Army policy on sexual harassment applies to soldiers 24/7 on or off post? True. True. What are two complaint options for DA civilians? Pre-complaint. Pre-complaint is one, yes, sir.
Formal complaint.
And formal complaint, yes, ma'am, thank you. Yes, of course.
So, did we all notice a difference between the Army civilian and then the military green suiters complaint process? So, timeline, right? Military civilians, DOD civilians, DA civilians have 45 days. It used to be as well that military green suiters also only had about 60 days from the time that the last incident occurred, right? So if you'd been being sexually harassed in 2014 by someone, now you get stationed with them and they continue that sexual harassment, and they continue it. It used to go from the last day of the incident. There is no longer a cutoff point of when you can do sexual harassment for green suiters. All right, so I just want to make sure that we understand that. I know most everyone in this room has had some experience with doing SHARP, and that's always been something 60 days or 90 days from the last incident. There's no longer a cutoff for green suiters. Our DOD civilians, you guys have, like it stated, you guys have that timeline, all right?
Thank you, Sarnigan. So Module 4 is sexual assault, and the definition of sexual assault is intentional sexual contact characterized by the use of force, threats, intimidation, abuse of authority, or when the victim does not or cannot consent. And that does apply 24/7 on and off the installation. So sexual assault includes sexual acts or contact when a person is incapable of consenting. And we have to remember that consent, again, is freely given by a competent person. So there is no set amount of alcohol that removes consent, and it just depends on the situation and that individual's capacity. And Army policy states that sexual assault is a criminal offense that is punishable by UCMJ and civilian law. And there is no statute of limitations on sexual assault. So there are two types of reporting options for sexual assault, and this slide really just compares the two. So the most important thing to remember is that it is a victim's choice which option that they choose. So with a restricted report, the victim receives support without triggering an investigation. So CID and the command is not notified. There is no MPO or expedited transfers options as well. With an unrestricted report, that does offer the victim all the same services, but it does initiate an official investigation. Just to be clear, a victim can report a restricted report to the commander, And if that happens, the commander can offer an NPO, and they must refer the victim to the SARC, and they also must notify CID, but the victim can choose to not participate in the investigation. And if the victim reports a restricted report to the SARC, medical, behavioral health, chaplain, or SVC, the commander will not be made aware of the report, and a NPO will not be available to the victim as well. And also, one thing to keep in mind is once a victim makes an unrestricted report, they cannot go back to restricted. Next slide, please. So this slide shows who is eligible for SHARP services and reporting options based on their status. So for all service members, they can file restricted or unrestricted, and they have full access to all SHARP services and access to safe reporting. And for family members of soldier members or DA civilians who are 18 and up, they can file an unrestricted report. However, if they're 18 and under, they must go to their FAP, or Family Advocacy Program. Reports involving married partners are also referred to FAP. And family members receive limited services at medical facilities, and they are not eligible for Special Victims Counsel or expedited transfers. Now, when it comes to DA civilians, they are eligible for restricted and unrestricted reports, and they will receive SARC and VA services. Contractors are generally not eligible for SHARP. Yes, sir. Oh, I thought you had a question, sorry. Contractors are generally not eligible for SHARP services unless they are OCONUS or deployed, and in those cases, they can file an unrestricted report and receive limited SARC and VA support. Yes.
So with the expedited transfers, it says that as if a family member is the victim, so the family member is not eligible for an expedited transfer, but it can be worked out for a compassionate reassignment or expedited transfer for the military service member. So if Sergeant Aiken's spouse is sexually assaulted by a member at an org day or something like that, my family member cannot request that expedited transfer, but I can request an expedited transfer or a compassionate reassignment due to my spouse being sexually assaulted. I'll say normally those do get approved. It doesn't go to the same timelines as an expedited transfer, but they normally do get approved due to the situation. As well as with FAP and all that. If you guys come to us, right, as DA civilians, I can't take your case, but I will walk with you to FAP and we'll do that warm handoff. I can also give you advice and give you local resources. And again, I have confidentiality. I don't have to tell Colonel Burks anything. He can come in and ask me questions about it all day long, and I've never met, Sarah Helsham at all, as far as I'm concerned, if he comes in asking about her. All right, so you guys can come and talk to us. You can talk to us about family member situations, and we can give you the resources as well as the next steps for you as DA civilians, or if it was a family member that was sexually assaulted. If you have a child that is still your military dependent that is over 18, you bring them to us.
Thank you, Sergeant Aiken. So just provide some more details on, next slide, on DA civilians and sexual assault. They do have two reporting options. Again, that's restricted and unrestricted. And they are eligible to receive SARC and VA services, but that does not include expedited transfers or medical or legal benefits beyond what they are already authorized. And if a DAC experiences retaliation, they may be eligible to report it to IG, EEO, or HRO.
What's something you like to eat or do? Would you like it if you weren't in the mood? Would you like it if someone forced it on you?
Hey, Bob, have a cheeseburger. No thanks, Dan. Not in the mood right now.
But you like cheeseburgers.
No, I love cheeseburgers. I just don't want one right now.
Why not?
What difference does it make?
But I really want you to have the cheeseburger.
Hello, I really don't want it.
Well, I think you should.
But you're not me.
Look, you're gonna like it once you start eating it.
Dude, no.
Eat the cheeseburger.
What's the matter with you?
What Dan did to Bob wasn't helping Bob eat a healthy meal, and it wasn't treating Bob with dignity and respect.
Because Dan didn't have Bob's consent, he was assaulting Bob. And the weapon, even though it might sound silly, was a cheeseburger. But the weapon doesn't matter. The violence does.
Forced sexual activity isn't consensual sex. Forced sex is assault. It's rape.
But because we associate sexual assault with sex, some people think that assaulted sex can be enjoyed.
But they're wrong. Soldiers know they're wrong. Soldiers treat people with dignity and respect.
What's something you like to
Okay, so check on learning. True or false? A person who is asleep, unconscious, or incompetent cannot consent to sex. True. Sexual assault is punishable under which laws for Army soldiers and DA civilians? UCMJ. And for DA civilians? Yes, civil law. A freely given agreement to the conduct at issue by a competent person is what? Consent. Yes, sir. Thank you. What are the two types of sexual assault reporting options?
Restricted, unrestricted.
Yep. Thank you. All right, so our last module is module 5, which is retaliation. So the message here is really simple. Retaliation is not tolerated and it is prohibited. No soldier or DA civilian may retaliate against a victim, and retaliation can include reprisal, ostracism, inflicting emotional distress, discouraging reporting of sexual assault or sexual harassment, or discouraging the administration of justice. So if you do experience retaliation, it will be investigated by IG or CID, and the victim may also be eligible for expedited transfers or MPOs. Last video, I promise.
Anonymous trolling on social media has become a common way to retaliate against victims who report sexual harassment or sexual assault.
I don't understand, Major Payne. I earned this assignment, and now it's going to someone with less experience and less training.
Perhaps you should have given more thought to your own career before you cratered Lieutenant Carter's over some misunderstanding at a party.
Misunderstanding. I was sexually assaulted. It was investigated by CID. And it certainly has nothing to do with my qualifications for the job.
Well, that's not how I see it. We're done here. I have work to do.
Based on survey data, the Army estimates that roughly a third of survivors perceive professional retaliation or reprisal after reporting a sexual assault.
What the? Somebody just vandalized my car.
Survey data estimates that more than half of females who stated that they reported a sexual assault perceived professional or social retaliation afterward.
I guess. We got a code, man. You broke it. You don't go back to CID until you made up that charge against Sergeant Jones. You can watch your own back.
Soldiers are held accountable for both sexual harassment and sexual assault, and for their treatment towards persons who report sexual harassment or sexual assault. Your responsibility is to support each other and have each other's backs in or out of combat. Whether it takes the form of inappropriate online conduct, adverse administrative action, maltreatment, or ostracism, retaliation is strictly against Army regulations. Soldiers who have reported any crime are entitled to be treated with dignity and respect. DA civilians are protected under the Whistleblower Protection Act. Remember, it is the responsibility of your commander and the entire chain of command to ensure you are not re-victimized. If you experience retaliation, you can report it anonymously at safehelpline.org or inform your sexual assault response coordinator or victim advocate. There is no place for retaliation in the Army.
Okay, so everything that we covered today, whether it be prevention or bystander intervention, sexual assault, sexual harassment, retaliation, that really just boils down to one thing, and that's that we all need to do our best to create a climate and work environment where everyone feels safe to speak up and respected and valued. That concludes my briefing for today. Do we have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Sergeant Aiken, where are you located?
So, unfortunately for y'all, I bounce around a lot. I cover not only the 413th, I cover 599th as well as Garrison, so I'm the SARC for all those, and then we also have the resource center that I work out of. Being the Garrison SARC means that the post-conference room training that happens once a month at the end of the month, I do the SHARP training for that, so Friday I will be there in uniform. It'll be great. So my phone number, again, so government cell and then personal cell, please feel free to hit me up at any of those. I do try and come down there. I haven't been able to get back since Christmas block leave, but I try and come down once or twice a week down to Shafter, pending any meetings that I have or trainings that I have to do. But if you guys need to hit me up on my cell, either one of those works. Right now my work cell is down for the count. It's up there getting worked on. But my personal cell, shoot me a text message or give me a phone call. Email as well, I can answer that at any point in time. We don't get off days, so if something happens on the weekend, which is normally when sexual assaults happen and sexual harassments happen, again, that normally happens in the younger generation of the Army, so like my E1 through E4s. But if something happens on the weekends, you guys can always hit me up. Don't feel like you're impeding on my weekend or anything. Give me a call or hit me up and ask me if I can meet you somewhere. It doesn't have to be in an office, it can be anywhere. But yeah, and I'll be here for the next 2 years, so I'm gonna be your guys' SARC for that amount of time. Couple things that I do wanna hit on. I know you guys are trying to get out for lunch probably. Retaliation. Not so much for this group, but if you go to other commands where you have younger soldiers, retaliation doesn't always have to be something that is done in a negative light. I've had situations, I've been doing SHARP for about 3 years now, coming from 3rd Brigade, which was really, really SHARP heavy, unfortunately. We were having new cases constantly. So some of the things that I saw with retaliation there was leaders doing what they thought was best for the soldier. You got a soldier that's going to jungle school or airborne or air assault, and in your mindset, especially we have some of these male leaders that have younger female daughters and stuff, so they're in the mindset of protective mode, of dad mode, of maybe they think that the soldier might not be mentally ready to go to this course, and we want our soldiers to succeed at the courses that they go to. We want them to do good. So in their mind, taking them from that course and being like, hey, you can go in 6 months, is them doing something that they think is good, but that can be termed as retaliation. We've had that happen before where and retaliation can get you relieved of command. So just because you think that you're doing something in the best interest of the soldier, sit down and talk with the soldier, explain to them why you would like to take them from that course or push their course out or whatever it is that they're trying to do. If the soldier says, no, I really want to do this, maybe that's what's going to be what helps take their mind off of what happened. So just make sure that you guys are sitting down with the soldiers and explaining something before you do something, because it could be taken as retaliation. If the soldier is able to say like, hey, they pulled me from a school because I was sexually assaulted and I have an investigation going on as a victim, that's going to be retaliation every single time, even if you were doing it in the best interest of the soldier. So just anytime that, feel free, especially as commands or as leaders and everything, please hit me up. Ask me before you do something. Ask your legal. My civilian counterparts on this and everyone in here, this is going to be my first time being civilian heavy as a SARC is with this unit, but please feel free if you guys have questions about anything, please come and talk to me. I can always hit up the EO, or if you guys know your EO rep and want to hit them up, but if you guys just want to know options and stuff, you guys can come talk to me. My confidentiality spreads across everyone in this room.
Thank you, Sergeant Aiken. So our next block of training is at 1300 right back here. So please make sure you're back in time and seated by then. Thank you.